Hey guys, Scott here. Usually I am not like annoyed or have a raised voice or anything during any of my videos. In fact, I'm pretty podcast brain monotonous, but I am pretty genuinely annoyed here. So if you are sick of hearing about the doxing stuff and stuff like that, then I'll see you in 2 days for PTB. We'll get back to just normal videos and stuff like that. But this shit actually has gotten me annoyed. So I made a video yesterday talking about how River Server was very heavily implicated in doxing Spook and Jukes and supporting doxing in general. I had indisputable proof, and it still absolutely is. However, he made a video today that basically calls me a liar and that I had slandered him on all this stuff, and I am going to take this time to absolutely destroy everything that he has said. So his main argument here is that the main supporting screenshot that I used was taken out of context.
And his singular gotcha that stretches out for the entire video is this screenshot. Now, on a surface level, this does look pretty bad, right? But just like his fellow cuck messiah, he's the master of cutting context. He insinuates in this video over and over again that the DM here is us talking about Spook and Jukes, when if he actually provided context, we aren't. It all started with Shrimp jokingly saying he's trying to become DBD's Hitler by making a Twitter account.
This is what I said. Like, I'm going to get a headache making this video because of how fucking stupid he is. But he said that I took the screenshot out of context and assumed it was about Spook and Jukes. The person that gave me the context was him. River Sivver is the one that gave me the context. If any context was cut, it is because he cut it. And we'll go over why he cut it later. But the point is, he's trying to call me out for taking things out of context when you can see the entire conversation we had in Twitter in private about this was about Spook and Jukes getting doxxed. All of this is about Spook and Jukes getting doxxed, and then he provided this screenshot about Spook and Jukes getting doxxed. Not once did he ever say, oh, by the way, this isn't about Spook and Jukes. I've decided to randomly change topics during this conversation now and talk about another person I feel like doxing or something like that. No, not once does he ever correct it. The context is what he gave me as a person. And also, I can corroborate this because Spook and Jukes just released a video today on Twitter, at least, because he wanted to show the conversations that he had with River as well. And the same thing. The whole conversation obviously was about him getting doxxed. And so Spook and Jukes showed the screenshot that River showed me. And yet again, instead of saying, dude, he loves his gotchas, he jizzes his pants at the idea of getting a gotcha. So instead of saying, gotcha, that screenshot's not even talking about you, idiot, that is the first thing he would have done. 100%, there is nothing else he would say in that scenario. He would absolutely say, this is not a gotcha because it's not even about you. And how did he respond? He just responded, well, I don't like you, justifying why he was doing this. He commits to this story about it being Spook and Jukes every time it is brought up. Not once in any conversation with anybody involved does he ever actually correct that it's not about him. Now, why would he do that? Why would he intentionally mislead this and let us all think this is about Spook and Jukes? That doesn't make any sense. Well, there's two reasons. The first is he possibly might have intentionally lied to bait me into lying based off of his own context so he could call me a slanderer and a liar, which is the dumbest fucking logic imaginable because that just means he is slandering himself. He is giving context to someone talks about that context, and then you say, well, that's not all the context. Motherfucker, you gave me the context. It came from you. I didn't cut anything out of this. You did. And the actual reason is he was scared. The actual reason is he thought that the screenshot being about Spook and Jukes would be more acceptable than the actual truth, which, if you've seen it, is actually true. My favorite part of the video is where he actually expands on the context for about 0.6 seconds and then moves on very quickly. Because if you actually pause the video there, you would realize, oh, shit, I see why he hid that now. So let's go over what he was actually talking about. This whole screenshot where he's saying, yeah, go for it, dox him, do all that stuff. It's true. It actually wasn't about Spook and Jukes. Again, I have no way of knowing that. River very heavily insinuated it was. All of our conversations were about Spook and Jukes. He used this as evidence in supporting when we were talking about Spook and Jukes. When he talked to Spook and Jukes, he also didn't say it wasn't about him. He never once corrected anyone for a week about this. However, I understand why. He was trapped. He either has to admit that, or he has to admit that the other context is even worse. And the other context is, he wasn't talking about Spook and Jukes. He was talking about me. He was talking about doxing me. And here's why this is so much worse. And I understand why he didn't want to show this when he sent it to me, because it makes him look even worse. The reason is his somewhat flimsy moral justification for Spook and Jukes being okay to be doxxed is because he thinks that his content has resulted in people doxing the targets of his video. So he and a lot of people have said, reap what you sow, it's karma, getting what he deserves, all that stuff. That is his flimsy but at least consistent logic here. He believes, okay, fine. At least that makes sense. So I'm going to stick with this story because at least I can somewhat say it's justified, right? But when it's about me, he has no defense anymore. Now, his worst problem with me is that I make lazy videos. That's it. That is the only thing he has against me, that my videos are boring. And for that, he supports me getting doxxed. That just makes you look worse, you fucking idiot. Now it shows you'll just be okay with people getting doxxed if you just don't like them. Like, that's so much worse. At least you had a flimsy reason for Spook and Jukes. This is so much worse. It just shows your little entitled baby. It's like, dox him, whoever. I don't like that person. That makes you look 10 times worse. How did you think this was a defense? How did you possibly think this was a good defense? And even above that, we see him talking to Evil Shrimp, who says he wants to be the Hitler of DBD, which is interesting because the person that sent a gore picture to Spook and Jukes was named Hitler, and also said he's going to send death threats to people, and also said that he's going to dox people on the same day that Spook and Jukes was sent threats and was doxed. All of this happened on the same day. Again, for legal purposes, I cannot say that Evil Shrimp is the one that sent those threats. I can't prove that. But it's sure a weird fucking coincidence that all of these things happen on the same day in the same conversation. That is just very interesting to me. Again, I cannot claim anything as fact, but that makes you go, quite a bit. So again, I understand why you cut this context, because it's far worse. Now it seems like you support just anyone, any big content creator getting doxxed. If you just don't like them, fuck it, why not? It's so much worse. Why would you show that? Like, why would you ever show that? Your basic defense was, see, I didn't actually have a hand in doxing Spook and Jukes at all. I've just shown I support everyone getting doxed. That's much better. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Oh my God. And dude, then the last third of this video, that was basically half the video. The last third of this video is him claiming the only reason I made this is because I was upset about an argument we had on Twitter, as if he thinks that I would actually do this as an emotional response. Like, I don't know how many times I've talked to him being calm and rational. I don't know why he thinks I would do this as an emotional response. The reason I waited until now to talk about it, I gave him multiple chances to fess up. When we talked in private, I was like, tell people about this, make a video about this, tell people. Waited, tell people, waited, tell people. Why was I waiting? Because Spook and Jukes was scared. He was scared. He had to move. He literally had to move. That's why I didn't have a chance to do any of this stuff, because I had to wait until he was safe. He actually had to upend his entire life, his children's lives, because Evil Shrimp made an AI video detailing where their kids go to school, where they go to ballet, the suite number of the ballet studio down to... And he's just saying, well, this is all public information. No, the fuck it isn't. He actually released all this stuff. I've actually seen the AI video. I know it exists. And the fact that I have it means it ain't private, because I shouldn't have that. Why would I have that? It's obviously not private. And they also said that they were going to do that to me as well. But then Shrimp said, no, I wasn't actually going to do that. But then later in the stream discussing this stuff, River accidentally says that he had to personally talk to Evil Shrimp in voice to convince him to not do that, which means he absolutely was going to do it, and he had already done it with Spook and Jukes. So River Silver, to his credit, told him to not do it for me, but it's real interesting how somehow that Evil Shrimp is his own person, and any input that River Silver has doesn't matter. He's going to do his own thing. So when he says, yeah, fuck it, do it, that's not River Silver's responsibility. However, at the same time, when Evil Shrimp says he is going to dox me, he is going to post this stuff publicly, and River Silver tells him to not do it, now he suddenly listens to him. Now it's okay. Now he's his soldier and he'll just listen to him. Do you see the double standard, you fucking idiot? You can't have it both ways. Holy shit. But like I said, he tried to claim that the reason I made this video was because I was mad about a Twitter argument that we had, because like, holy fuck, he actually thinks that he's getting to me or something like that. So he dedicated so much of this video about it. But the thing is, like I said, it was out of Spooks' safety. I wanted to wait until he moved so he was safe to talk about this stuff, because he would be implicated in involvement again in a very loose way, by the way. He's not really involved with this at all, but he would be implicated with it. So I talked to him and we, said, okay, let's not do this until you actually moved. And I respected his wishes. And the saddest part about this is I was in your stream for a minute when you were talking about this stuff, and I told you this. I told you this, and you heard me and acknowledged it and said, oh, okay. And to double confirm it, Evil Shrimp later must have misheard and asked why I withheld this information, why I waited so long, and then you corrected him and said, oh, it's because River was moving. You literally defended me to him, and then I guess you just bashed your head against a wall and forgot all of that and made this video.
I just want to put Scott on the spot a little bit. I have a few questions. So why is it that you had this information on the 16th, as you confirmed on your stream?
He said so.
He waited until today.
He said because Spooks was moving for some reason.
Oh, okay.
You knew the reason and then dedicated a third of your video into pretending I did this because I was mad. As another aside, he has an entire section about how nothing actually happened to Spook and Jukes, so it's no big deal. See, after all this, nothing actually happened. No one actually came to kill him, so it's completely fine. Again, ignoring the fact that Spook and Jukes literally had to move. He had to take his kids out of the school they go to, the ballet, he had to upend his entire life due to these possible threats that you have to respect when you have a family, and your shitty 16-year-old brain actually goes, well, nothing actually happened, so it's fine. You are so stupid that if I talk about you any longer, I'm gonna get a headache. Unless you literally have people come attack me or something, this is the last time you will ever be mentioned. I cannot process this shit anymore. PTB videos and stuff coming in a couple days. Bye.